Yep.
Hi, I'm Walter Jaworski.
And Walter, where are we now? We're in front of your home?
Yes, 87 Old Wendell Road in Northfield. And the property, we have about 200 acres here. And recently, about a year and a half ago, we sold the development rights off, and it's under Forest Legacy program right now. And as a family, we talked about it's a big step to put all the land in conservation so that you can't develop it anymore. And we felt that we wanted to leave it open and be able to farm it and also to harvest timber on it. But we didn't want to have any development on it. And when Kinder Morgan came to talk to us in the spring, they said, we want to put a pipeline through your land. And I said, yeah, I don't think you can. And they said, oh, well, we just want to have a survey so that we can look at, see whether or not we can do it or not. So initially I said, well, if you want to waste your time, go ahead. So I signed okay for the survey. And then I found out later that survey doesn't just mean a surveyor. It means that they might go in and do core drilling and so forth with big machinery. And so once I found that out, I rescinded my permission to them and started to actively fight against it, because then I found out that just because it's under conservation and and you're not supposed to develop it doesn't mean that they can't. I mean, I can't, but they could go to FERC, which is the Federal Energy
Regulatory
Commission, and get permission to then use eminent domain to take any land they want to. And whether or not it is under conservation or not, or a park, or wildlife preserve or anything, they can go and do anything they want to, for what I understand. So
Excuse me, how was your process of rescinding? How did that go? How difficult was that to do?
Well, it was not difficult. It was just I was in contact with the people who are against the pipeline. There's a whole bunch of people in this area, and they gave me paperwork. I got a form to fill out that says we rescind it in legalese, and so we sent it as I think registered mail
to Kinder Morgan.
Kinder Morgan got a signed postcard receipt saying that they received it.
Yeah.
So they never responded to that, but but we have the receipt that they received the rescindment of the survey. They did come. Survey crew did come about maybe 6 weeks ago. Excuse me, and survey the roads around. So they were here doing preliminary work. Maybe about 6 weeks ago.
And how much into your land would this pipeline be, and how would that affect?
Well, the pipeline will cross over Old Wendell Road, and then it will go through about a half a mile of my property. It's a long ways, and there's streams, wetlands, ledge, forest, and things that I didn't want to have disturbed are going to be disturbed. One of the things also I found out is that I can't drive over the pipeline with my tractor. My equipment, if I want to mow the fields, I can't do it. Or I can't actually go from one side to the other without going onto the road and entering. So it's going to restrict me from being able to do a lot with my land. Also for logging, I can't cross the pipeline taking logs out. So I would have to make a different, if the logger would have to have a much more circuitous route of getting logs out. Have to almost have two lots instead of taking it all as one. So it's going to impact, and possibly even will make it impossible for some of it to be logged. I'm not sure exactly where they're going to put it.
So you have taken these legal actions to date, and you've met with other people who are opposed to the pipeline. What's your next step? Well,
we're fighting as best we can. I went with some neighbors to see U.S. Senator Markey in Boston yesterday. And we met with his aide, and he's at this point has come out against the pipeline, and he's looking into how to intervene with FERC. And I think that's the step right there, is to help prevent the permission of Kinder Morgan getting permission to do this, or at least this seems to be a real rush job, in my opinion. There's almost no input from the public or from other interested parties, and cost-benefit analyses, all those kind of things have not been independently done. Kinder Morgan has done them, showing, of course, that it's necessary and vital that this be done, but independent, what do you call it? Study has not been performed by someone who's neutral. So we asked Senator Markey to at least slow it down and let's get some studies, let's get some information, let's get a lot more input from the public. At least do that, and I believe he's quite. He wants to do that for us. So at least that's what he said. That's what his aide said that they were trying to.
So we have Senator Markey, we have Senator Warren, who has also come out opposed to it. My congressman, Jim McGovern, is opposed to it.
He's ours too here, and he's opposed to it. The congressman is. He's very opposed to it.
Yes.
And our state rep, Paul Mark, is. Stan Rosenberg is kind of wishy-washy. I think he's looking forward to his presidency of the Senate and wants to be kind of step back from controversies. But maybe, with enough pressure, I'm sure he's going to have to make a stand one way or the other.
Yeah.
And so at least we've got some legislators and our Congress people and senators against it. And the more we get, the better.
And we have a groundswell of citizens, and
Yes.
here we are in the land of Daniel Shays, so
That's right.
that should give us some
Well, I mean, this is a very politically active area.
Yeah.
It's a small population, but a lot of activity, a lot of activism goes on in the valley, much more so than per capita anywhere else, I think, in most of the country. And so I think that's they didn't really realize what they're gonna face once they got here, because I think we're mounting quite a campaign against them.
How long have you been on this land?
I moved here full time in 1979. Before that, it was owned by my uncle, and he bought it in the early 60s.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been in my family for about 50 years.
Mm-hmm. And I see a lot of equipment over here.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have going on here? I see a lot.
Well, I mean, the wood's for my personal use.
Yeah.
I heat with wood. And I have beef cows. I have a herd of about 20 beef cattle. And so a lot of my equipment is to get ready for hay, for feeding them in the wintertime. So I only have grass-fed cattle, which is much more healthy for them and for us who consume that meat. A little plug for grass-fed, and much less of an impact on the environment than the big feedlot beef that's most of the beef in the country is. Yeah. And anyway, so all my equipment is to do that, to hay and get ready for that kind of for the winter, because of course they can't graze in the wintertime. There's no grass growing.
So we're going to go over and take a look at your solar panels, but
Sure.
What do you use that solar?
Well, it basically makes electricity for us for the farm, and we're allowed to actually give it or let another person have. My daughter lives in Northfield, and so she gets the benefit of it as well, because it's more than we use. So the amount of electricity that's produced is at least enough for 2 families.
So you're producing enough electricity for 2 families, and one of the things that Kinder Morgan is using as part of its PR is that it's going to provide electricity for us, and the simple panels you have provides enough for 2 family homes.
Well, right,
and a farm.
and at this point, I think that investing, I don't know how many billions of dollars they want us to pay for. I mean, that's the big kicker, is that the Kinder Morgan isn't going to pay out of their pocket to actually build this pipeline. We are, as ratepayers for electricity. 100% of it's going to be paid by us for their benefit, so they can take fracked gas, natural gas, which has its own issues, lots of issues about groundwater, about pollution. It's also it's a carbon. It's a what do you call it? It's a fossil fuel itself. So we're increasing their consumption of that. And what I've read, I don't know if it's true, if they patch the leaks of the pipes of the natural gas pipes in New England, that it would more than offset what they're going to be giving us. So I mean, isn't that kind of, don't we want to fix it first? And then if we put solar panels on rooftops and made it much more accessible for people, take $4 billion and subsidize that for the Commonwealth or other states, and also other alternative energy sources to do. How about supporting going into buttoning up and weatherizing everybody's home? I mean, that would probably cut the gas usage or electricity and fossil fuel usage, I don't know, by what, a third maybe? Just by doing that. So there's a lot of low-hanging fruit that can be harvested, so to speak, that it hasn't been addressed. So they just want to go out and build this brand new pipeline, which then is going to, if you're going to invest 4 or 6 or 8 billion, who knows what it's going to finally cost? Because they say, at first it said it was going to be 2, and now I've heard it's 4. And just like the big dig in Boston, what happened with that? I mean, all of a sudden it's like billions and billions more. So if you start investing that kind of money, then you're kind of tied in to continue for frack, to continue to get this gas from places and doing things that are environmentally deleterious to the groundwater of the localities where it's coming from, and for global warming in general for the world.
Yeah.
So I feel that it's we haven't really looked at those kind of things at all, and it's, as I said, it's a rush job, in my opinion, and they are pushing through basically a pipeline for them to make billions of dollars. Probably a lot of that, some of it's going to be for the use of New England homes and people, but I'd say a majority probably is going to be liquefied gas to go export so they can make even more money. And so that's like, we're going to support them making billions of dollars, and we're going to pay for the luxury of them, for their ability to, and their stockholders and their company to make millions, billions and billions, not billions, billions of dollars more. And I think that's just obscene.
Thank you. So Walter, do you want to tell us about your paddles?
Sure.
How did you buy them? How did you?
Do you want to
4 years?
No.
4 years, and it's I believe a 9.2 kilowatt system, which is a fairly big one. A lot of people don't get them that big, but we went up to the maximum that you can do for a residential property, and just for the investment and for so we could then give our power to our daughter too, so that we could share and have actually we make more than she needs as well, so we have built up some reserves of electricity that and that was another issue, that the electric companies wanted to take away that ability not that long ago, but that luckily was squashed.
Do you want to just tell us how you did this briefly?
Well, I mean, it was, we hired a company, PV Squared, out of Greenfield, we looked in, we got a couple of bids from other places. They were very similar. There wasn't a lot of difference in price when we were looking. And there's a lot of incentives in Massachusetts to get solar, so that I think we're one of the better states, if not the best state, that has subsidies for solar. And so I looked into it, and we invested quite a bit of money to have those solar panels put on. We get rebate, or not, what they sell, green energy credits, and so we get every quarter we get some money from that, from companies that pollute need to get offsets, and so they can pollute. So they buy my green energy credits somehow. I'm not really sure how that works that well. I just know that I get some money every 3 months from doing that. So basically the payoff for this system is about 7 or 8 years. So they will have paid for itself after that time. So we're almost, it's been 4 years. It was July of 4 years ago that we put it in. So it's a full 4 years that we've had it. And so another maybe 3 or 4 years it will be completely paid for of the investment that we put into it. And then we probably will have at least 20 to 30 more years of electricity being produced from it. I just, if you know, there is arguments. People, I see people that there are some pro signs around. Every once in a while, you say, "I'm for the power line," or for the pipeline, and I think that it's mostly about jobs. I think people, I don't think that they necessarily want a pipeline, but they want the union jobs, and I think that there's ways. I believe if we talk about patching up the old infrastructure, doing all these other things that we could possibly help to improve conservation, that they could have those and more jobs. So if you're looking at jobs, I think that it's a short-sighted view of things, that yes, for 2 or 3 years they'll get some good jobs, but then they'll disappear. And I think that there's ways of investing into alternatives, into conservation and other low-hanging fruit of trying to button up houses, etc., that could actually help the economy a lot more than that pipeline can.